Okay, so I'm gonna go over just the basic mechanics of the shower head uh, system. You have a tube that allows this to reach the water at the bottom of the tank. All right, and you replace the air vent valve in the regular cap with a Schrader valve like this here, and just below it you attach it in there, and you replace this other cap here with this spigot, and I put this cap on there to keep dirt from getting in there when it's en route, strapped to the Jeep or hanging about. And so the real trick on this is getting this tight enough and allowing it to seal. And so I think heat's going to be important in that when you join it. If it's not, 100 degrees out in the desert, you need to heat that up some way when you tighten it down and use a strap wrench or a cap wrench. But heat is important in both the top and the cap, so that gets kind of pliable when you crank that down, and those little plastic parts kind of fill that up. So you form a better seal. I've tried using Teflon tape, and it doesn't really work that well. The only other option is gluing that, and then it's going to be very difficult to fill this up, because then you have to relieve the air pressure here and force the water in through there, and it really doesn't work all that well. Not as easy as just popping this and filling it up, but repressurizing it is tough, and you kind of don't want it to be airtight, because this is not meant for that. All right, you get too much pressure on here, you use one of those strong compressors, you'll blow this thing up. All right, so about 30 pumps from a hand pump, like a bicycle pump, is really all you need for a couple of minutes. To get through a shower, you might have to pump this up 2-3 times, depending upon your shower procedure. But that aside, it's not that cumbersome to, and that's using the really, really small portable pump. You use a foot pump, it's going to be, a lot less. You can also hook this to an air compressor, like the little 12-volt ones that you can, about the size of a shoe box that you can throw in the back for emergencies. Just hook that up to that. They don't produce that much pressure, so they're not going to blow this thing out. I mean, most of them. And that would continuously run, and you don't have to pump anything up. The last thing I'll mention is these will handle boiling water poured directly in them. They won't melt. Their melting point's a lot hotter. I think about 75 degrees more than boiling water. So 2 ways to heat this up: fill it halfway and then pour the rest in a big pot of boiling water, and that'll be nice and warm. You only need it about 110 degrees for all the water in there. Otherwise it's going to be a little cool. If you're in the desert, of course, you might want it cool. So the other way is you either use a black can, which I have some of those. The only ones that make the black cans are Scepter, and they're in Canada, and they're rather expensive. The LCI cans are comparable quality, and they're a lot less expensive, and they're American made, and it's a good organization that helps out vets with disabilities. So I like to support them. So wrap this in a plastic garbage bag, stick it in the sun, and depending upon how hot it is, like if you're in Death Valley, that's not going to take very long. It'll heat it up, and you can have a warm shower, or just use this to wash your dishes or hose off your your gear or whatever. Having pressurized water is kind of a nice convenience in the middle of nowhere sometimes. Anyway, that's that. Hope it works for you.